Hello everyone! In this video, I'm going to talk about how to render a master plan. So please download all the materials for this lab. After downloading, you can open this folder. You can find all the materials that are going to be used for this lab. These pictures going to show you what we want to achieve today. I'm just going to render a small proportion of this master plan to give you some idea about rendering. You don't need to use same rendering style as I did here. You can search some wonderful examples from website or create your own style. Okay, without further ado, let's start. Before we go into Photoshop, I will briefly talk about how to export line work from AutoCAD. Please open Master Plan Materials folder. And you can see the AutoCAD file called Lofking Master Plan. And then double-click this file to open it. The first things I want to mention is layer controls. Layers are the primary method for organizing the objects in a drawing. It's really worth a little bit of extra time to do that because it's going to save your time, especially on very complex drawing such as master plan. Imagine if you are not export your complicated line work separately. You will have a hard time to select objects using Magic Wand in Photoshop. If you have 100 of buildings that you want to paint a color, you need to click 100 of times to select all of them. By exporting buildings as individual layer, you can basically click one time to get it done, so it's very efficient to have a layer system. To see how a drawing is organized, you can click the Layer Property tools on the ribbon. Here is what the Layer Properties Manager displays on this drawing. As indicated, you can see Layer Road and Parking is the current layer. You can see the green check next to the layer. All new objects are automatically placed on that layer. Layer 0 is the default layers that exist in all drawings. Instead of using this layer, it's best to create your own layers with meaningful names. If you want to turn off the layer, you just click the bubble here. And you can see this building layers is turned off to hide the buildings in the master plan. You can turn off layers to reduce the visual complexities of your drawings where you work. You can also lock layers when you want to prevent accidental changes to the object on those layers. You can click here. The object on locked layer appears faded. Next, let's export building layer only. So you need to turn off all the layers except building. And then click the application menu. Under the print, let's choose plot. Under the name, let's choose DWG to PDF. For the paper size, you can choose what you want. For here, I just use 11 by 17. And for plot areas, I choose window and then click window here. And you can choose the extent. And for here, let's check center the plot. And look up here, you can see the plot style table. Let's choose a cat here. And then click Edit here. In the plot style table editors, you can assign which color, line type, and line width you want to use for your output. In that case, I want all the color to be black color, so I select all the color here. And choose black color. For the line type, I want to use solid line. For the line weight, I usually use small line weight such as 0 or 0.003. So I just choose 0 here and then click Save. And you can preview your output. Once you're satisfied your output, you can click Plot. And you need to decide which folder you want to export your output. You can use the same method to export your road and boundaries. For save time, I'm not going to repeat the process. In your material folder, you can say I already export those 3 PDF for you, so you don't need to export by yourself. You can just use these 3 PDF to do the next task. Then let's switch to Photoshop. What we want to do is import PDFs into Photoshop. Let's click File. And then under the Master Plan Materials folder, you can see these 3 PDFs. So you just need to choose one of them to open it. I just choose the first one and click Open. Here, you need to specify the resolution. The resolution should be larger than 150 pixels. For here, I just choose 300 and click OK. You can see the boundary here. And then go to the Material folder again. Drag the buildings and the road PDF into the Photoshop. Click OK. Drag the road. Click OK. First things you need to do after you open the PDFs into Photoshop is to add a white background under it. So I will add a new layer. Paint it white color. And drag this layer at the bottom. For now, you can see everything. For now, I want to use Crop tool to erase any unwanted errors. In the Layer panel, you can see these 2 layers have the icon. So that means these 2 layers are the smart objects. You need to right-click the layer and choose Rasterize the layer. And then we need to rename the layer. Okay, let's prepare a few things before starting the render. What you should do is to pick up the textures you would need, like grass materials and anything else from Google. I have already prepared you the textures you need to use for this lab. You can see the textures under the master plan materials folder. Let's bring the grass texture into Photoshop. Bring these layers under the master plan boundary layer. Right-click to rasterize the layer. And then you can use the Move tool to move this texture around. You can use Ctrl-T to adjust the scale of the texture. I'm going to render these proportions of the master plan, so I need to copy these grass textures to cover this corner. Hold Alt and use the Move tool to copy it. Then choose all the grass texture layer. Press Ctrl-E to combine them into the single layer. Let's hide this grass texture layer, and then go to the master plan road layer. Use the magic wand to choose the grass areas. Hold Shift to select multiple areas. Then go back to grass texture layer. Turn it on and click Add Layer Mask. Mask is used to hide proportion of the layer and reveals the layer below. Layer masking is a reversible way to hide part of a layer. This gives you more editing flexibilities than permanently erasing or deleting part of a layer. Now you can see these areas I forgot to select, so these areas not cover the grass textures. So I need to add selection to existing mask. Click Master Plan Road layer. Use Magic Wand to choose these areas. And then click Layer Mask Thumbnail for the grass texture. I will choose white color to paint these areas into white. The reasons I use white color is because when the layer mask is white, it reveals the underneath layers, so it can reveal the grass texture. When you add black to the layer mask, it will hide the grass texture layer. So if you choose black color here and paint it black, you can see it hides the grass texture.